Alright, welcome to Learning UDK UnrealScript. I'm Andy Sims.
And I'm Ryan McCord.
We're students from the Guildhall at SMU, Cohort 16, and today we're going to be talking about UnrealScript, what it is, what you can do with it, and generally how to get started with UnrealScript. Alright, so what is UnrealScript?
UnrealScript is a scripting language that runs on the Unreal virtual machine in the Unreal Engine, and it allows developers to access the core systems of the engine without having to modify the source code. With UDK, you don't actually have the source code, the C++, the heart of the engine, and so Unreal allows you to use UnrealScript to modify the game logic, the game code, the systems that make up the game itself to interface with the actual game.
So, as you can see in the diagram, we've got at the top our UDK game, and at the bottom our Unreal Engine source code. Right there in the middle is where your UnrealScript comes in, and that's how you get all of your game system interaction put directly into your UDK game. Alright, so why is UnrealScript useful?
UnrealScript allows the developers to create advanced features and complex gameplay systems. As gameplay programmers, this is where you come in. You can modify anything you want in the engine, from skeletal meshes, physics-based code. You can work with the math, the game times, and the game updates, whatever you need.
I mean, you can get in at a really low level. You can modify how the Unreal Engine handles basic assets like materials, textures, audio. You basically have a lot of control over even low-level stuff in the engine. Even without the source code, UnrealScript gives you a lot of power. Alright, so here's a basic overview of the Unreal Engine structure. Before we get started in coding, it's really important to kind of understand where is UnrealScript coming in this process of how the Unreal Engine works. Where is our code going? Where is it most effective? So overall, the Unreal Engine is split into 4 parts: the rendering engine, the support code, the client, and the server. For the purpose of UnrealScript, we're really just going to talk about the server, because the server is where all of the gameplay and the player-actor interaction takes place. Now, within an Unreal server, you can have a variety of levels, but really every level is independent of itself. Each level represents, say, an Unreal Tournament deathmatch, and it's totally isolated. Within its level, it's its own little world. In each level is geometry, actors, gameplay systems that are running all of the gameplay for that level. And this, in this space, the Unreal level, that's where UnrealScript really comes into play.
So this is the class structure for the engine, the base classes that you're going to be modifying and deriving from or extending to create your UnrealScript files and your custom games. At the top of the tree you have the object class. This is the class of which all objects, everything in the game, all classes derive from. It's the top of the structure. This is the base class for UnrealScript. Also, you have the actors and assets and other classes that derive from object.
Actors, in short, are basically the first object that you can see inside the editor and inside the game. Assets are basically the building blocks that you're going to use to build all of your Unreal properties, basically anything you're going to see visually in the game or hear. Any meshes, any materials, any audio, all those files are actually deriving from the original object. Just as actor is going to control how those things display in the game.
The game info class represents your game logic, your game structure, your game type. UT deathmatch, capture the flag, those derive from game info. Game info is pretty much where all your logic for the game goes, such as win conditions, lose conditions, startup, how the game updates, etc. The pawn is what derives from an actor directly in more of a actor sense. The pawns represent NPCs, players, anything that needs to be controlled.
Yeah, anything that's going to take input is going to be a pawn. And to correspond with pawns, you have controllers. controllers are basically input handlers. They can either be for a player controller, in the sense that it's taking input from the player and then redirecting it to a pawn, or it can be in the sense of an AI controller, where a predetermined AI is giving decisions and then relaying it through its controller into the pawn, hence creating enemy behavior.
On top of that, cameras are maintained and updated in the controllers. Player controllers can have different kinds of cameras. They could switch between them. UDK supports first-person shooter camera and a third-person shooter camera, more or less Unreal Tournament and Gears of War. But you can create your own custom camera if you ever wanted to.
Alright, so what we've seen so far is a lot of different types of classes. I mean, these classes are really the heart of UnrealScript, of the Unreal gameplay. And in order to start working on UnrealScript, you really need to know how to create classes. And the main way to create classes on UnrealScript is through extension. Now, extension is similar to inheritance in other languages such as C++ and C#. Basically, extension allows a new class to take on all of the parts of its parent. Its functions, its variables, its states. It basically inherits all of those properties and is allowed to expand upon them.
So now we're going to go into a basic class and create a code example for you. Let's go over to Visual Studio. We already have a project set up, so let's go take a look at that. So let's create a new class. First, you want to go over to your project at your classes folder, right-click, add new item, and choose the UnrealScript file. You want to name this file the same name as you want your class to be named, because that's the way it is. It's the same as Java. And so we're going to name our class something along the lines of custom pawn. Add. And then now you have this kind of base declaration. It says we have a class custom pawn that is extending from object. We don't want to extend from object directly. We want to extend from a pawn. So let's extend from UT pawn.
Rather than just extend from the normal pawn class, we chose UT pawn because it includes additional functionality that you'd see in a UT deathmatch game.
So you'll notice that there's this default properties block. Well, what is that? That is the block that allows you to instantiate and initialize all of your variables for this class. So let's go ahead and give ourselves some variables. You start with the var keyword, and then you give it the type. In UnrealScript, it supports all kinds of types that you ever want. So let's go ahead and make like a float.
You'll find many similar types as you'd see normally in C++ or C#, things like bools, floats, ints, strings. All those are available in UnrealScript.
So here in the default properties, we created a var name up above, but we can initialize it down here. And so we can give it any value we want. We can give it 10, 0, whatever this type supports. So now let's create some functions, because that's where all of the features and support come into UDK, is through all of your functions. A basic function starts off with the keyword function and then its name, followed by parameters, if any. And then you have the block, of course. It's very similar to any other language. And then at the top of the function, you create your local variables. And so you see here, we've created variables, we've initialized them, we've created a function that has local variables. So this is pretty much the base of any class in UnrealScript.
Right now, our class really isn't doing much. In fact, it doesn't really do much at all. But this is so that you can get a look at the basic flow of a class, like how a class is built, what you need when you're going to build a class in UnrealScript, the basics of declaring your class, declaring your variables, putting in your functions, and then setting up your default properties. Alright, so we're going to return to our presentation.